Hey survivors and thrivers, it's sophilialarkwoodbury, thehappymedium.com. This is our third video in the skills and techniques series, and in this video I'm going to be talking about childhood emotional neglect and how you can deal with the negative emotions that stem from it. For the best trauma recovery tips, tools, and strategies, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video when I upload new content every Wednesday. Hey there and welcome back. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining me. I am a trauma survivor. I am a licensed professional counselor, trauma recovery coach, and certified clinical trauma specialist, helping people and organizations resolve the effects of trauma and build resilience. So what is childhood emotional neglect? Well, in most cases, it is an unintentional failure of the parent or the caregiver to properly respond and notice a child's emotional needs. Now, it's a type of neglect that is not considered abusive or intentional, although there are cases where there could be intentional disregard for a child's feelings, but that is not typical. And so that's why it's not considered abusive or intentional. But even so, this type of experience has short-term and long-term consequences for a child's emotional stability and sense of worth. And so what would that look like? How does this develop? What does it look like in people? So let's talk about how it develops first. Say for instance, when you were a kid, I can actually put myself in this situation because I also struggle with childhood emotional neglect. I did for a very long time. And say you go to your parent and you tell them, you know, hey mom, I had this bad day at school. And maybe they don't say, okay, explain to me. Maybe they just sit there. And so you keep talking. And you say, you know, these kids made fun of me on the playground. They called me bad names. I was really embarrassed. And I told the teacher, and the teacher didn't really do anything. And so I went in the bathroom and I cried. And your mom just kind of looks at you and she says, oh, it wasn't that bad. I know those kids. I know Miss Jennings or whatever, you know, she would have said something if it was that bad. And, or they may say, oh, you don't really feel like that. Or, you know, it always seems like you're so sensitive. Why are you always talking about this kind of stuff? And what these kinds of messages, the message that this sends to the child is that your feelings don't matter, or there's something wrong with your feelings. And so basically, eventually you stop asking for their support and you start finding ways to support yourself. So that's how it develops. That's how it can develop. What it looks like in kids, it could be that the child's very hyperactive. They can't seem to concentrate. They're just sort of, you know, moving all over the place. They've got all this energy. Or it could be on the opposite end where they seem like they have really low energy. They're just depressed. They kind of sit around. They're not very interested in anything. Maybe they isolate, withdraw from their friends. Maybe there's some aggression, anger, outbursts. Developmental delays. Maybe there's a failure to thrive where the child is not developing in inappropriate ways. In adults, it could also look, you can have some of those things, especially anger, outbursts, aggressiveness toward other people. But then you also can see full-blown PTSD. You can see a struggle with an eating disorder. The person may feel like something's wrong with them. They're deeply flawed. They're empty. They might say, you know, mom and dad provided for me. I had plenty of food, plenty of clothing, shelter over my head. We went on family vacations, but they just weren't there for me. So in these kinds of adults, their parents were emotionally unavailable, they may be emotionally unavailable as well. And so those are kinds of things that you typically see in somebody who is struggling with childhood emotional neglect. And there's probably a whole lot of other things too that I didn't mention, but those are some of the general things. So what can you do to heal the negative emotions from childhood emotional neglect? Well, here I go with my three-pronged approach again, but it works. It totally does. The first thing I recommend is creating an environment of safety and acceptance. Now, these are people, this is a network that you want to build of people that you can lean on, who will be reliable supports that you can lean on when you need to express your emotions and have them validated. So this could be a mentor, a counselor, a coach, a group of your Toastmasters friends, your support group, accountability partner, anybody that you know and you trust who will be there for you. It's not your fault that you were emotionally neglected, but you do have some choice in how you want to be treated moving forward, and this is one of the ways that you can do that. Another way is to build emotion regulation skills. Now, emotion regulation skills help us to learn to feel our feelings, to be with what we're feeling and not abandon ourselves, and to express our emotions appropriately. Now, we can do this in a number of ways. We talked about a couple of skills in the last video, improving the moment and acting opposite to emotion. Now, if you want a more detailed explanation on that, you can watch this video here in the cards, and you can get that information. But you can use those skills, or you can use mentalizing, deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation, things that will help you learn to feel your feelings and learn how to express them appropriately. Now, I want to ask you a question which will give you a sense of your emotional life. What's going on in your emotional life? And the question is this: what do you believe about emotions? Think about that for a second. Do you believe that you should only express your emotions in secret? Do you believe that you will get out of control if you express your emotions? I know that was one of my big ones. I'd say, I'm going to get out because I don't know what I'm going to do if I get angry. Or maybe you believe that using your emotions is the only way to get attention. Or maybe emotions are bad and you shouldn't express them at all. The point is, how you think about and what you believe about emotions is typically how you end up expressing them. So having an understanding of that will help you to be in healthy relationships where you can get the practice of growing and expressing your emotions appropriately. And then the last thing is giving yourself credit for the progress you've made, even if you have not achieved the overall goal yet. Now, I would recommend creating something like this timeline here on the screen, where you can see where you started, so you can track your progress and shift your focus to taking responsibility for your own recovery instead of focusing on what someone else didn't do, and that's the reason why you respond the way that you are. This also helps you stop the negative emotion from hanging around. You've been practicing your emotion regulation skills, and so you've been growing in your ability to feel what you feel and to express that appropriately. And so you can also be able to give yourself credit for developing those abilities. Remember, people who struggle with childhood emotional neglect don't have a real good history with relying on other people because, for obvious reasons, they didn't come through for you when you needed that support. And so you stop asking and you learn how to support yourself. And so when you give yourself credit, this helps you to celebrate the small changes that you've made, or even the big change. Maybe you achieved the goal, but even if you haven't, like I said, that timeline will help you to see, oh boy, I'm on my way. I may not have gained access to that ultimate goal yet, but I'm on my way and I'm going to celebrate. I'm proud of myself. It's having that self-compassion and it's having, those positive affirmations of who you are as a person of worth. And that is what a person who struggles with childhood emotional neglect needs to develop the most. So now you know how to heal the negative emotions from childhood emotional neglect. And if you are looking to go deeper and build an entire recovery infrastructure, be sure to get your hands on my free Complex PTSD Trauma Recovery mini course that you can access by clicking the link below in the description. If you're looking for an uplifting community where you can gain access to spiritual approaches to healing complex PTSD, be sure to join me on Instagram, where I share inspirational content that speak to the spiritual aspects of healing. Okay, well, that will do it for today. If you like this video, be sure to show some love by hitting that like button, share with your friends, and drop a comment below to let me know your biggest takeaway today. I'd be glad to get that feedback from you. And last but not least, if you liked this video and it was helpful for you, please consider subscribing by hitting that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video when I upload every Wednesday. I'll see you guys next time, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.